Do you have any tips for someone who's coming into an apartment, maybe a Parisian apartment?
I would say instead of doing that thing where you're like, write a list of all the things you need, go to IKEA or wherever. I mean, they have gorgeous things. I would keep like a list on your phone and then try and go to markets and yeah,
it's really cute.
I mean,
hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another apartment tour, this time in Paris. And we are here with Rose. Hi Rose, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. So I'm Danish. Before moving to Paris, I lived in London for 6 years and worked there, and then me and my partner a year and a half ago moved to Paris. This is our second flat. We had kind of like a little flat before this, and then this is like a more permanent for now.
Cool. All right, well, without further ado, we're gonna start the tour and we'll see y'all in a little bit. That's bad. So we are in the entryway, which is where we're starting this tour. Could you tell us a bit about like your inspiration when you decorated this space?
I mean, the most important thing for me when we got this flat was that there's so much storage. So all of the coats and all of the like clutter can go in there. I do quite like to keep a bit of a minimal space.
Got it.
That said, we haven't found any kind of furniture for our shoes yet, so they're like all lined up. Which, I mean, I don't mind it, but it would definitely be nice to have some of them tucked away. But I love that there's so much storage. Our last flat didn't have any storage, and like in Paris, sometimes that happens where you're just like, it's a tiny flat, no kind of like hallway really where you can put your stuff. A lot of them are vintage, which I'm trying to like be better at buying like stuff that's not new, because there's so much good stuff already to make, to purchase.
True.
And also like, you know, normally it's like either one will have a bigger interest in fashion, but with like both just like all in, so it's like who gets the wardrobe space and all that,
And I see that there's a window as well, which is rare. That's nice.
It's super nice. I think it was renovated, or like these flats were renovated, so obviously these windows are not like the nicest. They're not as nice as like the old fashioned ones that are like pretty on the front,
very Parisian.
But it's really nice to have like light going through the flaps on both sides. So even though these are not like, there's not as much light coming in this direction, but it's still really nice.
Next space is the kitchen. This one is like a work of art.
It's so nice. I mean, this was like one of the things when I saw the flat, because I mean, if you ever house hunted in Paris or in general, I think like you obviously see like one nice room and it's like, ooh, I love the space, and then in Paris most of the time you end up having like no pictures of the kitchen and the bathroom, and then you get there and it's just like almost like non-existent. It's just like a bare room with like really bad lighting. When I came here and saw the kitchen, it's like newly renovated, I was like, yes, that's what I need. And then they actually also like, we have quite like an open space with the kitchen and the living room. I love like as much light as possible. I'm Scandinavian and I'm all about like the open plan living vibes. In still a small kitchen, like none of my Scandinavian friends would be like, oh my god, look at the kitchen. They would be like, it's a tiny kitchen.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah, so it's just, but for Paris standards, it's so good.
It is like 10 out of 10 would recommend. And so when you came into the space, how did you go about decorating it?
I love buying kitchen stuff from like smaller little brands, because you always find something that's like super unique and cute. And we have a few things that I think we've just kind of like acquired. For example, like our little kettle. We don't have like a normal kettle. I hate them. I don't like the way they look. And then I realized, why don't I just get one that can just stand on the stove and look cute instead? So it's all about finding like little ways that are practical but kind of cute. It gives some like personality.
Is it a space that you go into a lot? Like, do you cook a lot, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, I try to cook. At least like a couple of times a week. Val loves to cook. He'll cook on the weekends. He'll make something really nice. It's a nice way to like wind down. And I think right now I'm freelancing, so if I'm working from home, it's it's so much easier. You can kind of like just like go from the table and then like start cooking, versus if you're coming from the office or anything like that.
You've installed a really beautiful table.
We were looking for tables. We were talking to my parents-in-law and they were like, yo, I think we have one out in the old barn, and ended up finding this, and it's definitely not in perfect condition, but I don't mind it. It's a nice way to kind of like being able to use something that had already been forgotten. I really wanted a round table.
Okay.
So even though this is like a big living room or living space for Paris, there's not like huge amounts of space around. We have this so kind of like separating the two spaces a bit. Yeah. I really wanted something round just because I feel like it works better in kind of like a slim space. And then I really like that it's glass, just to kind of pick up on the light. Like there's nothing blocking. It kind of feels like the space is a bit more open. The kitchen is obviously like very modern looking. It's like made in a very contemporary style.
Do you have any tips for someone who's coming into an apartment, maybe a Parisian apartment?
I would say instead of doing that thing where you're like write a list of all the things you need, go to IKEA or wherever. I mean, they have gorgeous things. I would keep like a list on your phone and then try and go to markets and then buy like little things at a time. I think most of it is investing my time into finding pieces that I know has a bit more longevity.
We talked about tableware. Is that something that you enjoy investing time in?
I literally just got 4 new wine glasses because we broke all of them.
Oh shoot.
They're from LSA, which is like an amazing glassware company. And then I have a few glasses from my like great grandparents that I remember from when I was little, which I love that like these glasses are kind of like taken to London and now they're in Paris. There's plates and stuff we got when we came to Paris. This pots candle holder is obviously like more of a trend pieces. Like those I think are the ways I try and like be a bit more like contemporary, and
but just making sure that that's something that you're gonna love. But what about the chairs?
So the chairs are old as well, they're vintage. Actually, I want new ones. I feel like they look really nice in our old flat, but they're just so similar to the floor color. And I feel like because of the glass table, they kind of sink into the ground. And I would love to have some that has like a similar metal. When we got them, they were like a bit less popular than they are now. It's hard for me, I grew up with like looking at that type of furniture. Like every kind of family had that stuff. So it feels like so old fashioned. So it's funny that everyone's like so basically.
One last question actually, because I see sage, the smell. Is that something that you like curate in your house?
I love a good candle, and so does Val. I feel like my love for scented candles has grown after I met him. I think I actually gave him one of the candles and then he's giving me one. You smell like a nice scent when they walk into your room. It gives like personality.
This is the living room space. So you mentioned earlier this is a compromise space. Do you want to expand on it?
I think I'm lucky I found someone who loves interiors and you know have a lot of the same interests and stuff as me. We do have like different styles. He just loves to have bits everywhere.
Okay.
In Danish we call them nips. So this is me trying to like curate it down a little bit.
How did you go about like, you know, maybe decorating the shelves?
Yeah, this is a Scandi trend, and I feel like the Parisians have kind of the same aesthetic where you want everything to look really nice, but it also needs to look like laid back. Yeah. I think if you put all of the same colors together, it looks like you intentionally have tried to make it look super streamlined, and I'm not really that into that look. So for the books, for example, I pick a few colors and then I put all the books with the same colors together, so then it creates that kind of look of it being a little bit more cohesive. You know, it's like curated but trying to make it a little bit like chill. Yeah.
When you came in, what did you have? What did you think of like making the space look like?
There's a few pieces that we started out with that we really love. Like for example, there's a few heads. We live right on the canal in London. There's like these big canal boats that people live on. And there was this guy who was carving out faces. It was just a hobby, but that was like, I love him. Can we have him? And he was like, he's not finished. Kind of has one ear done and one eye done. But I love this guy. And then since that, we've kind of collected a few different heads. I found this little clay one. There's a little head over there, and then a lot of the stuff honestly is random things that's collected over the years. This fat boy lamp I hate, but it's Val's. He loves it, so I'm like, fine, I'll give it to you. This is my grandma's old. This one I found at a charity shop.
There is the chimney, which I feel like is kind of like a Parisian.
So Parisian. I love the fireplace. I mean, traditionally they have like the big gold mirrors, and I do think it makes the space feel very like traditional. And now instead downstairs we have one of Val's art pieces.
Wow.
He has a few different pieces of art. When I met him, I was like, a single man in London who owns art? Like, who are you? We have some on the floor over there. I'm kind of thinking maybe they need like a little magazine or something to stand on, like a poster, so it can look a bit traditional if you like hang them all on the walls. I kind of like leaning them against the wall.
Yeah, just ask you about the chairs.
It's Val's. I think he bought it at a vintage, like a market. So comfortable, but I mean also like it's nice to have, you know, for if you have guests and stuff.
So what about the couch? This is such a beautiful shade.
This came with us from London. We did consider if we needed a new sofa, but I actually am obsessed with the blue. Normally when I have anything that has like a really bright color, I get so tired of it. It's a few years old. It's from Hay, and I think they make like beautiful kind of like classic furniture that definitely lasts.
Agreed.
I think it looks super cool in this space as well. I really love it. It's so comfortable. I love the big like chaiselong in the flat we were in before. It was a tiny flat. This would have never been able to even make it. One of the reasons why we decided not to stay in that flat long term was because a lot of our furniture wouldn't have been able to be moved in.
And what about the lampshade?
Also from Hay. It's one of the few kind of like new pieces we have. I really love like big paper lamps. I've had them my whole life. It's just like paper lamps are just like a staple. So this one, I love the shape of it. That's like a bit more like an oval or like a flat. I really love lamps. I really love lighting. I don't know, I want something that gives a really specific feeling.
So we talked a bit about the lighting. Was that something important for you?
Yeah, I mean, I love all of the old like Osman buildings, obviously. And when I was moving to Paris, I found out I was moving to Paris. I was like, ooh, I would love to live in one of those. I was looking for a flat that had light in it, like at least had like light coming in, like a lot in the morning or the evening. I love the big windows. Like I love that they're like so almost like floor to ceiling. People always ask like, how do I find a nice flat in Paris? And I would say like have criteria of something that you definitely need, like a second bedroom or whatever it is, and then have like a wish list of items, because you're never gonna find everything you want. Like we really wanted a balcony. We had that in our old flat that we stayed in for 6 months. But I was like, if I had to pick between having, you know, like the light in during the day or a balcony, 100% I would pick the light.
So this is the last space we're exploring, which is your bedroom. When you came into this space, did you have an idea of how you wanted it to look?
Again, I'm thrilled because there's a built-in wardrobe. It's not enough for all of our clothes, so we still have a like lovely IKEA dresser. I think everyone's had one of these in their lifetime. It's one of the pieces where I love a tidy home, but I'm so messy, so I need easy so I can keep it tidy. We try and keep the bedroom a little bit more kind of minimalist. Definitely like the Scandi.
What about the colors?
I love white walls. I feel like I'll add furniture and like little, you know, flourishes and all of that. I do like it super simple. Those white chairs. We were thinking about getting bedside tables, but I had these chairs from my home in Copenhagen. This is from my like home growing up. My mom and her husband actually drove them down. But other than that, I mean, I love white sheets. I think it gives like so much light to a space.
There's a peacefulness as well to it.
And then obviously like the big selfie mirror. This is the standard IKEA. I painted it black to give it a bit more like an industrial look. I've never had wall lights, so we had such a hard time finding wall lights that we liked. So we found these on Lindsay, and they're kind of like mid-century. I like the little brown plasticky detail.
So last question is about fashion. Said it literally since the entryway, a big part of your home.
I love fashion. I have lots of pieces that I love. Try and keep my closet minimal. I'll put away anything that I'm not obsessed with. And I also sell a lot of my clothes if I don't wear it. Like especially if it's pieces I bought and then didn't end up wearing as much as I thought I would. I buy a lot of my stuff secondhand as well. On Bestia or on Vinted, and Vinted is definitely like my holy grail. So much stuff on that. So you kind of have to be a bit specific in terms of what you're looking for, and then set aside some time. But I love it. Do you want to look inside the closet?
Yes!
And then he has this, which is like my favorite. He never wears it anymore, but I love it.
This is so cute.
So it's like a vintage Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Ooh.
That has like little stitching.
That's so pretty.
Also because I wear so much black, I'll wear it with like black jeans, obviously, or black skirt, or black whatever.
So this is, I guess, like the exit interview. Thank you so much for agreeing, you know, to do this tour.
My pleasure.
I know you mentioned being a freelancer, but I know you via your TikTok, which is like your TikTok account, and like, you know, one video in particular. So yeah, what's your relationship to like social media? Like,
so my TikTok is Rose Olander in one word. When I first moved to Paris, I was working freelance, but also had lots of time on my hands compared to normal. So I got into the whole TikTok game. So basically, when we first moved, we lived in a gorgeous flat in the Marais, which was kind of like a temporary flat. We loved it so much, and I was really considering like, oh my god, should we stay? So it was like this whole all white space studio with like the like amazing stairs in the middle of the room, and it was really beautiful space, but we couldn't really move any of our own furniture, like very little of our own furniture in. I did a little like house tour and stuff before I left, which just like blew up on TikTok. But mostly I work with brands for social, so I'll do like either content for brands or I'll do brand strategy for social media. So a little bit of everything.
First of all, like, what's your style, if you have a definition for it? And then like, yeah, when you look, you see the trends that we have, a lot of it are trends that, you know, we talked about the beautiful lampshade, and you were like, yeah, grew up with it, you know?
For me anyways, like the things you grow up with, the things you have in your home when you grow up, and not like the things you want when you get older. You're not like, ooh, can't wait to get a paper lamp myself. Like, that's not the way I think necessarily. I think it's kind of like turning a bit now because it's so long time ago, so it almost maybe has a bit more like, you know, kind of feeling connected to it, whatever. But I think, I mean, I've always loved putting lots of energy in my home. It's nice to kind of be in a space again where I can like care about the details and like invest time and energy and money into creating like a nice home environment as well.
You know, speaking of sense of style, what would you say is yours?
Oh my god, that's so hard. I think it's like definitely like things to be kind of clean and minimal. I'm not into lots of colors, and then I love a bit of rough. Like I don't like it to be too pristine. So my dream is like this type of flat or like a big warehouse space that you can then make like warmer.
Do you have anything that, you know, like when it comes to decor, but I guess even fashion, that you were like, you have your eyes on?
With fashion, I have so many things. I feel like I'm less decisive with interiors because I feel like it's more permanent. So I have a lamp I've seen that I really like, and then I really need a coffee table.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, you can watch like all of the season 2 apartment tour. Definitely go and check out Rose's TikTok and Instagram is Rose Olander. I'll put it on the screen, and yeah, I'll see you all next week for another video. Bye.